For thousands of years, the Mi'kmaq people lived along the banks of the river, calling this land Bijanuiska. Their stories flow with the water and wind, reflecting a deep connection to the coastal region. In 1812, European settlers arrived, using the river's power to build sawmills and railways, forever changing the land and its future. Trade thrived, but so did conflict, marked by colonial wars, broken treaties, and resilience through hardship. The Great Fire of 1899 nearly destroyed the town, but Bridgewater rose again to thrive in Lunenburg County. Ancient mysteries linger like morning fog over the river. Shadows stretch long, carrying Mi'kmaq echoes, and memories of pirate raids, colonial battles, and the 1782 sack of Lunenburg. Beyond the folklore, Bridgewater lives and breathes as a vibrant community where old mills and rails gave way to neighborhoods and businesses. The past lingers in the air, a reminder that here, history and present are inseparable. Chris and Ashley moved to Bridgewater in the spring of 2025, drawn to the town's rich history and vibrant spirit. Ashley, a gifted psychic medium, began sensing messages from the house well before they made it their home. Since settling in, the paranormal presence has grown stronger, revealing itself in softly drifting music at night, mysterious symbols gracefully entwined in the tree branches, and fleeting visions of animals wandering through the halls. For Ashley, these experiences are a beautiful connection to the past. Spirits not as threats, but as unseen companions, rooted in the ancient land and rich history of Bridgewater and Lunenburg County.
So when we first came into the property, one of the first things that I noticed was that there was someone in the basement, and I knew that they were hiding from something. I don't know what they were hiding from, if they'd done something, committed some kind of crime or petty theft or whatever, and they were hiding because they didn't want to get caught, or if they were hiding because someone was after them or chasing them or that sort of thing. I just knew that there was somebody down here and they were hiding, and I could feel it. It was strong every time I came down into the basement, and that's this basement that we're sitting in right now. That has eased up, so I don't know if they are not spending as much time down here now, or if they're just not making themselves as known to me. I did get the message help a couple of times since I've been here, and I have to wonder if that's the person that's hiding, and if they need help and possibly need help crossing over. I did help another spirit cross over a while ago, and if a spirit does need my help in that way, I will help them. I just need to understand their story. I've been communicating with spirit my entire life. I've been seeing spirit from as far back as when I was 5 years old. I think those are around my first memories of full body apparitions making themselves known to me. I started talking to them and having conversations with them when I was around 10. I didn't really understand the concept of what was happening at that stage of my life. I was much older before I really realized what was happening. I thought that everyone could see these people, and I thought it was normal. When I was 18, I started having lucid dreams. I didn't know what they were. I didn't understand them at the time. They frightened me. I didn't know what was happening. And I spoke to my sister, who explained to me that I was having out-of-body experiences and that they were something that could be controlled. I'd never heard of them before, and it took a while for me to learn how to be able to control them without them just happening spontaneously. It was around 1995 when I embraced my spiritual path. I started doing psychic readings around that time, and my path just kind of widened and blossomed from there. In 1999, I started channeling spirit through automatic writing in particular. And in 2014, I started successfully channeling the spirit of loved ones who've crossed over. And I say successfully because there were messages that came through that didn't make sense at the time that I was doing the automatic writing sessions. But in time, they proved to be very important messages for our family members. I had felt that someone had passed away in the house. And so I had my husband ask, did somebody pass away in the house? And he was like, yes, it was the father. And since being here in this house, I can tell you there are no issues or no problems in this house. It's active. There's activity here, but I think a lot of the activity that's here predates the previous owners even. I feel different things in different areas. I've never been up in the attic, so I can't speak for that. The main floor of the house is where most of the energy is. I've seen other apparitions. There's many dogs on this property. There's one that wanders around the house that is not my dog. I see it out of the corner of my eye, but I see it. So I don't question whether or not I saw a dog, but I just turn my head or I blink and it's gone, but it's not my dog. When we first moved into the house, we put a mattress down in the living room because all of our belongings were still in boxes and packed. And so I was half asleep, half awake, and I felt a finger, like an adult-sized finger, touch my spine just under my neck and just softly move down my spine. It didn't scare me. It wasn't frightening. It wasn't ominous or anything like that. It's just someone saying, I'm here. That was the only time that I have been touched, and it wasn't inappropriate. To me, that was spirit saying, I'm here, you're not alone. There have been a lot of unexplained events that have happened here. I think the most interesting one was a cat. I was walking from my kitchen over to my bathroom. I had to cross through the entryway to get there. And as I'm walking, there's a cat in my entryway, and it was so real looking in the moment that I jumped over top of it. I leaped over top of it to avoid stepping on this cat. And as I'm leaping over top of it, what goes through my mind is, where did this cat come from? I own a cat. This is not my cat. And I get to the other side of this jump that I made, and I look back and there's no animal there. I was thinking, how did this cat get into my house? Where did this cat come from? There was no cat, but there was a cat. Like, that was as solid can be. I enjoy paranormal investigating, and I thought it would be interesting to do a geoport session. There was 3 other people in the room with me, and one person was recording. We could all hear these sounds. It sounded like a casino. It sounded like money, like slot machines and money. We heard swing music, like it was music that you would have heard, like wartime era music, like 1920s. Swing music is the best way to describe it. Everybody heard it. It wasn't just me. I believe these are not necessarily intelligent, energetic, things that are happening in the moment, but very likely residual energy events that are replaying themselves from the past, like a recording would replay itself. So you're hearing events of the past, but it made me wonder, was there a speakeasy on the property at one time or near where we are, where people would get together, possibly around the Prohibition era or wartime or that sort of thing? I remember we were talking in the kitchen. It came up that we should do another geoport session on the property and we should go down into the back. It's a very interesting area back there. My daughter told me that we should sit by this one tree that's in the backyard. It's a big old apple tree. And she thought it would be interesting to sit there and do the geoport session. She said, I feel like there's something there. And you can feel it. You can feel there's something in the back of that property. You can just feel it. It's not necessarily bad. It's just energy. It's just there's something there. As soon as my daughter said that, I had that old song play in my head. Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. I had goosebumps when it happened. I've got them right now. I started getting these, I want to say, clips of a story. I just intuitively knew that there was somebody connected to this property at one time. I don't know if they're connected to that apple tree or if it's a coincidence that there is an old apple tree there, but that was a thing. This would have been back around World War II. They were separated because of the war. I want to say the male went off to war and the woman stayed, and he didn't return. There was just that longing that she waited for him. She waited for him and he never came back. She never learned of what happened to him. I very strongly felt the presence of a person or the spirit of a person in the unfinished part of the basement. Every time I went down there, I could feel this person was there and they were hiding from something. They'd been hiding from something in life, and they dated far back. They weren't someone who had been on the property recently, but I didn't know what they were hiding from or who they were hiding from or why. I just knew there was somebody there. I was hearing music in different rooms of the house. I opened the door a couple of times to hear if it was outside and that I was just hearing it through the windows, and it wasn't coming from outside. It was in the house. And in the fall of this year, I started waking up in the night, probably between 2 and 3 in the mornings, and I could hear this music box playing. You can hear it and it's there for a few seconds and then it's gone. And one night I got up to investigate where this sound was coming from. And I walked to the middle of the hallway from where the master bedroom is at the back of the house. And I walked to the edge of the entranceway where you've got the living room on one side, you've got the kitchen on the other, and you're in between all the bedrooms. And I stood there and I could hear this music, and it wasn't coming from the attic and it wasn't coming from the basement, but I could hear it on the main floor. I just couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from. I was never able to pinpoint where this music was coming from. And I've heard it several times over the past, I would say, month and a half. The most recent time I heard it was today. I was going up the stairs from the basement towards the kitchen, and halfway up the stairs I stopped. And I could hear this music, this tune playing, and it just played for maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and then it faded away and it was gone. My husband didn't hear the music. I would nudge him or shake him and say, "Do you hear that? Do you hear that?" And he couldn't hear it, but my husband is also hard of hearing. He does have hearing loss. But my cell phone was playing recordings in the middle of the night, woke me up, and the phone wasn't turned on. There were no apps open and no pages of the internet were open, and yet this recording is playing around 2:30 in the morning, and it's my own voice. And my husband woke up and he heard that. The phone was not in my hand, it wasn't lit up, nobody was using it. He couldn't explain it. He just goes back to sleep. He is not afraid of it. Nothing bad is happening. And that's how I explain it to him with spirit. A lot of people are afraid of the paranormal because they can't explain it, because it's unknown. But I always say, what happened? Was it aggressive? Was it bad? Did anybody get hurt? And if it's a no, then to me, it's just spirit wanting to be acknowledged. They want someone to know that they're there. The day after my cell phone had been playing recordings and woke my husband and I up in the night, I was looking out one of the windows into the backyard of the house, and I wanted to know, like, who is here? Is it one of my family members on the other side? Who is it? Just, let me know who you are. And I'm looking at the trees, and the branches and the leaves came together in a way that I was seeing letters forming. And they were capital letters, and it was an A and an R. And as soon as I start seeing letters, I'm thinking initials. That's just where my mind automatically goes. There was an A and an R, and it wasn't making sense to me. And then right after that came a G and an H. And I put it together, ARG, like the word ARG, like what a pirate would say. And I laughed. I did laugh in that moment, because it was silly. And instantly I thought that was a terrible bad dad joke. It made me think that possibly my father, possibly the previous occupant of the house who was a father, my spirit guide was a father, but it was that kind of fatherly energy. It was playful and it made me laugh, and it was one of the more endearing messages I've received from spirit over the years. Very recently, I was sitting in the living room and I was working. I have my computer in there and I'm typing on my keyboard, and my cell phone was shut off. It was face down on the tabletop just over to the side of me. And it was about 2:00 in the afternoon. I was alone in the house. There was nobody home. And I'm just typing away, and all of a sudden the flashlight on my phone turns on, and it got my attention really quickly. I stopped typing and I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, that's weird. And then I could hear this tapping sound. It was the same sound that your finger would make if you're tapping on the screen of my phone to get pages of the internet to open up or apps to open up or whatever. It's that same sound. And I didn't touch the phone. The flashlight's still there, but I can hear this tapping. So I put my ear down by the phone to make sure that that's what I was really hearing. Did I hear that? Is that what I hear? I pick the phone up and turn it over, and the internet is open to the score of the ball game. And I'm not a sports person. I'm not a sports person. I was really kind of blown away by that. And I swiped out of it, and there were other internet pages that were open behind the Blue Jays score. And I just swiped out of them because I was busy and I needed to get back to work. But I wish now, in hindsight, I wish I'd paid more attention to what pages were open, and I should have looked at that a little more closely. Nova Scotia is very rich with history. I find that everywhere I go, there is spirit present. Not that there weren't in Saskatchewan, and I grew up on the Pacific Coast. I've been around spirit my whole life, but there seems to be a longer history here. There are just more spirit, and there's more of that kind of energy hanging around. I'm still new, and I've spent a lot of time in the house. I haven't spent a lot of time out exploring in the areas, but everywhere that I have been feels like it's crowded. In December of 2024, my family and I went to dine at the Five Fishermen restaurant in Halifax. I wanted to go there because it is known for being haunted. We had a very interesting time. We had a wonderful waitress who took us into the back part of the restaurant and told us some of the history of the building. And that part of the restaurant used to be a mortuary. She said a lot of camera malfunctions will go on in there and people see apparitions and that sort of thing. And while we were in there, my camera malfunctioned and you could see this shadow figure kind of crossing the back of the room, and it appears to have legs and be walking in an arm, but it's just kind of a shadowy mass. And after that experience, in the days that followed, I was seeing the image of a man with a thick mustache. And he wasn't a big man. This was just an average size build man, but he had this big, thick mustache. And I recognized him. We looked at photos, archived photos of the city of Halifax, and I recognized him. I saw him in the photos, and that's him. And his name was John Snow. And he was the owner of the Undertaker mortuary that was attached to the Five Fishermen restaurant. They dealt with the Titanic, and they had a lot of bodies brought to them after the Halifax explosion. Very well known in the area. And I recognized him, and I saw him a whole bunch of times, and then it just slowly tapered off and faded away. When the deal had gone through and I bought this house in Nova Scotia, I saw him again. I saw him outside of my house in Saskatchewan. And I thought, well, that's interesting. He must know that I'm coming to Nova Scotia. And I feel like if he's making his presence known to me, it's because he has something to say. He wants to connect with me, or why else would he be revealing himself to me? Then when we got to this property in Nova Scotia, I saw him about 3 more times outside of my house, and I want to say in the backyard areas where I saw him. And I don't know what it is that he wants to say. He hasn't communicated with me. To be fair, I haven't sat down and tried to have a session to connect with him, but I would like to delve into that because he's coming forward for a reason. And if he's got a message that he needs to get through, or possibly he needs help in some way, I would like to give him that voice. So I do plan to try to connect with him. I'm very curious what Jon Snow has to say. I know he's coming around for a reason. I know I'm meant to connect with him again. I don't know when that's going to happen. The woman, or I feel it's a female spirit on the property that dates way back with the song, the apple tree in the wartime. She possibly needs help crossing over. Like if she waited and she stayed, waiting for her love to return, and they didn't return, she might still be here waiting for them. I just find it fascinating. When things like this happen, I get excited. I want to know more. Who is here? We've done other Geoport sessions since I've been here, and I hear a lot of doors. Doors are opening and closing, and they're opening and closing loudly. And I'm fascinated by that. Why are there doors? Where are you? It makes me feel like we're just being watched, but that they have choices whether or not they want to be where I am, or they could go somewhere else. But it just leads to more questions. And of course, it's all theory. We don't know. And when I've asked Spirit, because I have asked, they tend to avoid answering certain questions about the other side. They will talk to me through the Geoport. They will acknowledge who I am. I know that they are fully aware. They're conscious beings. They are intelligent beings. It's not residual energy replaying itself. They're here in the present moment. They can answer questions in real time. I ask what year it is and, my location, my name, all those kinds of questions they can answer. But then you ask the big questions, like, what is it like on the other side? Why are we here? They all just stop talking. I've had the odd one say, we're not allowed. I've learned that there's rules on the other side that Spirit have to follow, or there's repercussions. I had one say, I'll get in trouble. I can't, I'll get in trouble. I find that very interesting. It just intrigues me and pulls me in. It's going to be interesting to be a psychic medium and really get out into the different areas, because I find that Nova Scotia is saturated with energies and spirit, and they have a story to tell. There's a reason why they're here. They have a purpose. Some of them need help. Some of them just want to get a message through to someone. Some of them want to tell their story. Some of them just want someone to know that they're there. It's like, it's maddening to them that they can see us and know everything that's going on with us, and they're invisible to us. So they just want someone who will acknowledge them. And that's where I come in. That's where I feel like I come in. I'm that bridge for them. And if I can help them, I will.